What's going on, everyone? Welcome to, what is this, part 6 of my movable workbench build. Today is going to be all about getting the T-Track installed in the work surface. So let's get started. When I started this workbench build project, I knew I wanted to have T-Track embedded in the surface of the work surface of the workbench. Gives me a couple of options. One, I can clamp work down as I'm doing glue ups or building a jig or whatever. I'll have adjustability in my clamping surface. There's not going to be a real edge, so I'm not going to be able to clamp things to the edge of the workbench. There is going to be a trim piece that goes around, but there's not going to be any real clamping ability at the edge of the workbench. So I needed something to be able to clamp work down. So that's where T-Track comes in. I also wanted to be able to use it along this section here. I mean, this is where the miter saw goes. So I wanted to be able to use it as a place to have stops that if I'm doing repetitive cuts, that I can have a hard stop and be able to just, do the same cut over and over again and have a secure place to run my work to. So when it came to starting this or laying the T-Track out, I put the miter station up in its place, and then I set a piece of T-rail up along the rear fence, and that gave me the location along here for the track. And here you can kind of see I've already started some layout lines. So right here is actually where it's going to run, where it joins up and butts up against the fence, so it'll be even with the rear fence. And then knowing that piece that runs all the way across was exactly square to the fence, I ran all my other lines off of that piece there. Once I had this basic reference set in place and I knew exactly where that piece was going to go, I was able to measure off of that and add. So there's going to be another piece of T-Track there. There's going to be one right in the middle of that panel, and there's going to be a third one that runs up right about there is where it is. I can barely see the line. And then there's going to be another piece that runs down this side of the workbench. So there's going to be 2 that run this way and 3 that run across, and they are all square to each other. So I know that all my T-Tracks are square to each other. So the next step is going to be to route out the grooves for the T-Tracks. Now they are, I forget how wide they are. Let's see, I think they are, yep, 3/4 of an inch. Come on, focus. Let's see if I can get that to focus there. Of course it doesn't want to focus. Anyway, take my word for it. They're 3/4 of an inch. So I have a 3/4 inch bit in my router. I'm going to lay a straight edge down, clamp it down, and then I will start routing out. I'm probably going to do it in 2 passes just because of the depth of that T-Track. I don't want to try to take that all out in 1 pass, so I'll do it in 2. And then once I have all of the positions routed out, then I'll go on to the next step. here. So I started installing the first piece of T-Track, and I'm already running into some issues. First, I'm a dumbass. I didn't measure the total footage of T-Tracks I was going to need, and turns out I'm one stick shy. So that's already on order. Also, I didn't order enough of the junction kits for where the T-Tracks come together. I ordered that before I really had it planned out, so I need 2 more of those. Those are on order. However, those will be getting returned. It turns out that the T-Track that I ordered and the junction kits are 2 different colors of blue. So that's just going to drive me nuts. So these will be getting returned. However, I'm going to go ahead and use one as a template to mark these rails out, and then I'll use them. Now that all the routing is done for the T-Track and I'm waiting on more T-Track to arrive, I'm going to go ahead and give the surface of the workbench just a light sanding, probably just some 320 grit, just to take out any scuff marks, any pencil marks, things like that. Once the sanding is done, then I'm going to go ahead and give it a few coats of shellac, and that's just going to help seal the surface. Since MDF is pretty porous, it'll seal the MDF and just give it a nice smooth, sturdy work surface. So it's been a few days, and in that time I gave the top a couple coats of shellac. I gave it, I think it was 3 coats, and between each coat I sanded with about 800 grit just to kind of smooth it out. It's drying right now. I gave it just a wipe down with some mineral spirits to get all the sanding dust off it after its final sanding. So also in that time I was able to find some junction pieces in the right color this time for the intersections. So I started getting those installed, and I'm going to go ahead and finish that up, and then I will continue installing the T-Track. I've been just screwing these in. Some people use some CA glue, crazy glue, or like 5-minute epoxy, but I'm not expecting to put a whole lot of upward pressure on these. We'll see. If need be, I can unscrew them and I can add some epoxy or CA glue if needed. But on these final pieces here that come out to the edge, I have been doing CA glue on those. Like this one here doesn't have any screws in it. This one has a screw here near the edge. So just for some added security on these little short pieces here that go to the edge, I've been using CA glue on those. And I'll do the same thing. There's a little gap right here between where this comes out for the miter station. There's going to be a little sliver of a piece right there, and there's going to be another one right there. So those will obviously get CA glue to hold those in place. So I guess I'll continue installing the junction pieces. And there you can see now most of the T-track is installed. I initially started cutting the T-track using a 4.5 inch angle grinder, and that worked fine. It worked great. The only problem was I noticed that the heat generated started to discolor some of the blue anodized surface on there. So I decided to switch over to the miter saw. Aluminum is soft enough that you can use regular woodworking tools to cut through it. The only thing is you just got to take the cut slow, don't force it, just let the saw do the work, and it'll cut right through the aluminum without damaging your blade or anything. So now all I got to do is come back and take care of some of the small pieces like that there, up along the edges there. There you can see I got a couple small pieces I still need to cut and put into place. Once that's done, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start doing some just like edge banding. I'm going to be using some 1x2, I think it is, or 1x3 poplar along the edges here, just to kind of build it out a little bit, dress up the edge, and I'm going to chamfer those edges a little bit just so it's not a sharp edge. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish taking care of those small pieces of T-track, and then I'm going to start on the edge piece. Alright, scratch that. I decided to take a little break from the T-track and start working on some of the edging. So this is what I'm going to be using here. It's just some 1x2 poplar, and it's just going to go along the edge just to clean the edge up, and it'll give it a little bit of a lip on the side, but just, I don't know, I just felt like doing it. So I'm going to start getting this cut down, and I'm just going to probably just attach it with some brads along the edge. And there you can see the completed T-track. You can also see I added this edge piece that goes all the way around, and I added this little chamfered edge to it right here, just so there wasn't a sharp corner there along the edge of the bench. The only thing I think I want to do now is add this stick down tape measure. I'm going to add it inside the track here along this side for the miter station. That way I'll have a fixed ruler in place just for when I'm doing repetitive cuts. I can set my stop along that tape measure. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for today's video. I think the next step is going to be trying to figure out the router table situation. And this thing is coming along and is almost done. So thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified when new videos come out, and I'll see you all in the next one.